Hey everybody, this is Tim from Metal Master Kingdom. I'm here with Lauren from Sharptooth. We're here at the Warped Tour 2018, the last tour on the jacket for these guys, and this is one of 4 that's left here, and then we had to say goodbye. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it, and everybody and all our viewers are really happy to kind of meet you. So tell us a little about yourself. Where are you from? How old are you? And no, wait, hold on. Don't say that because everybody is 25.
Yeah.
And
I'm from Baltimore, so Baltimore, Maryland. Actually, the Columbia date is 5 minutes from the house that I live in right now, so it's very convenient.
Very convenient,
Yeah.
Definitely. So how was it growing up in Baltimore for you as a musician?
Baltimore has like a pretty lively, like heavy music scene, which is cool. As with pretty much, I think, any heavy music scene across the country, there's a lot of gatekeep there, like what historically was like a lot of gatekeeping. It's like female musicians. I would hear like shit like "No Clit in the Pit" when I was growing up and that kind of thing. And I don't know, it still sucked me back in though. I guess I didn't give a shit when anybody said that. So.
So how did you meet the other band members? How did you guys all kind of link up?
Well, we'd all been playing in other bands for years, and they knew me just through the music scene and my involvement in like the local scene. Like I am a constant presence at a lot of shows, and they just knew me through that. And when they wanted a vocalist for their band and they wanted to move in a heavier and more outspoken direction, I was the person that they went to and were like, "We want you." I'm like, "Okay, let's make some big mad music."
So where do you see yourself after the tour?
I mean, we're going out for 6 weeks, full U.S. with Cane Hill in the fall, and then we get like a month off, and then I think we're going back out again in January for another full U.S. So we don't stop. We're also writing a new record, so it's going to be a very, very busy couple of months.
When can we expect that?
Hopefully 2019, if things all sync up. Yeah.
Sounds great. I mean, like,
Yeah.
sounds you guys are really, moving through. Now, for everybody who doesn't know so much about you guys, how would you describe your sound for these guys?
Chaotic and melodic. I like to describe us as like almost like a hybrid between bands like Dillinger and Converge and Every Time I Die, that thrashy, chaotic, like metallic hardcore, with more melodic hardcore bands like Stick to Your Guns, The Ghost Inside. So we're kind of like a marriage of those two types of hardcore and metalcore. So we do a little bit of everything. There's definitely something for everybody. There's catchy choruses on some songs. There's big ass breakdowns, good panic chords, whatever you like. We probably do a little bit of it.
Wish list, top 3 bands you'd want to go on tour with.
Every Time I Die, Stick to Your Guns, and Counterparts. 3
bands who influenced your writing.
Every Time I Die, Stick to Your Guns, and Counterparts. No, definitely bands like Every Time I Die and Stick to Your Guns. I'd also probably put like protest bands like Anti-Flag and War on Women as big influences of mine.
It's been hard for you adjusting to the circus every time, you go from town to town and move and place to place on this tour, or has it been relatively, fairly simple?
For me personally, I think I thrive in this environment. It's like extremely social, extremely fast paced, and you're just literally bouncing from person to person, and like I think that I personally really thrive in that. And weirdly enough, even though like Warped Tour seems like the most chaotic thing, like you get your schedule every day, no one knows when they're gonna fucking play until like 8 o'clock in the morning. Being on a tour like this is weirdly some of the most stability I've ever had, because it's like, even if I don't know what time I'm gonna play, I know what my day is gonna consist of. I know what's expected of me, and like I can look forward to the routine of that, and I love that. And same with like club tours too. So honestly, my life at home is a lot more chaotic. This is actually, you get into a rhythm with everything, and I've become very accustomed to it.
So when you're not playing and you're not on the road in the bus, what are you doing?
I'm a herpetologist, so I'm a reptile and amphibian biologist, and I train all manner of reptiles and amphibians. Like, I train crocodiles. That's part of my job. Yep. And one of the main things that I do is I take reptiles to schools and to libraries and do like big assemblies and teach kids about animals, which is really fun. So I get to get off the stages here and go home and get onto stages at home.
So which one's the part-time job? This or being a herbologist?
Honestly, like right now, I'm in like this weird place where we're touring almost, it's going to be the majority of the year. So as of this point, we'll have been on tour for 5 months of this year out of how many? 8 months? So frankly, I think that like my home life is starting to become the part-time thing for sure. So it's a weird transition, especially like this year has been the transitional year for us. Like we've done our first full US this year. We've done our first international tour this year. We've done Warped Tour this year. So it's all been a lot of firsts and a lot of not being home.
And the response from everybody that you've met here, pretty good?
Unfucking believable. This has been so far beyond anything we ever expected. We hoped for maybe a couple dozen people to come out to our sets every day, and we've had crowds of 1,000, which is unprecedented because a lot of times we're like one of the smaller bands on one of the biggest stages, and so it's just kind of like we'll take what we can get. We're just happy to be here. We're stoked to play for literally anybody. So we've blown ourselves out of the water.
Well, not to go mainstream, but years and years ago, there was a little tiny band that I'm sure everybody remembers who was on a little tiny stage, Warped Tour by the name of No Doubt. But they were, now I don't know where they are, but I hear they're pretty popular.
Yeah. And Gwen Stefani is amazing. Fun fact, Just a Girl is my karaoke song. So now
so look in the bar. So when the song comes on, you're probably singing it.
Hand me the mic. I do a really good Gwen Stefani.
That would be pretty good to see.
It's fun.
Any chance of covering it on stage?
We've like toyed with the idea of covering it. At this stage of the game, maybe like down the road, I would be super down. At this stage of the game, most of the time we are just eager to use our stage time to get Sharptooth out to as many people as possible, especially because our band is almost equal parts band as it is activism. So I'd say at least a third of my stage time talking about the things that our band stands for, the things that our songs are about. I think it's really important to the fact that we've been given a platform like this to be able to use that time on stage to draw attention to the issues that we think are super important and that nobody's talking about, especially because virtually none of the bands are fronted by women. So nobody's up there talking about women's issues because why the fuck would they? That would make a lot of sense. So I feel obligated as one of the only women on these stages to draw attention to some of the things that this band thinks is really important.
So what are some of those some of those that you guys are pushing on stage right now?
We every single show that you ever see Sharptooth play, we will almost certainly devote some time to talking about sexual violence. It's not a fun topic for anybody, but it is an important one that doesn't get talked about enough, and there's so much stigma surrounding it, and it happens to far too many of us. The statistics say that 1 in 5 men and 1 in 3 women are victims of sexual violence, and we don't have statistics for people who are trans or non-binary because nobody has taken a census of that, which is bullshit. But they are also disproportionately affected by sexual violence as well, and it's an epidemic, and I think that a lot of times in not talking about these things, we're not finding solutions. So in bringing issues like that to the forefront and starting conversations about it and creating a safe space for victims to speak up and say, I'm a victim of sexual violence, I feel alone, and for the community that Sharptooth creates to embrace those people and to say, you're not alone, it is not your fault, here are resources for you to be able to recover from your trauma and to get support. That's one of the most important things for us. So that's something we talk about at every show. Also talk about mental health, something that's super important to me. We talk about the LGBT community. Members of our band are queer, and there's not a lot of representation for queer people in heavy music. So we want a Sharptooth show to be as inclusive of a space as possible. And we also draw attention to how important it is to have great allies, because yes, we're in a scene of mostly straight white dudes, and that's great. Most of my friends are straight white dudes, and they're my favorite fucking people, and I love them. So I want to empower those people to be able to take a stand on these issues as well, because that is the majority of our scene. I want them to feel empowered to support the people around them and to create a more inclusive scene for everybody. So that's pretty much what Sharptooth's about. Sharptooth is it's a band for everybody, unless you're bigoted and intolerant, and then we need to just keep having more conversations to work through that.
Conversations,
so,
definitely
conversations.
the key.
It's so important, because I firmly believe that nobody is born woke. We all do and say and have been complicit in problematic shit. We've all done things that have probably hurt people, and that sucks. But what's good is that when we're mindful of it and when we become aware of it, then we can get to be better, and we can learn to change our behavior and to make the world a better place for everyone that is around us.
So where can a couple people find out about you guys and, you know, some of the issues that you're talking about now that are obviously, you know, very important and very serious?
Yes.
How can people find out some of that stuff?
So if you wanted to get in touch with us and see what we're about, we're on Facebook, just like everybody. We are also very active on Twitter and Instagram. I'm super active on Instagram too. If people have questions or feel like they need support, or just want to say, hey, I feel alone, or such and such has happened to me, you're welcome. I invite people to message us, message me. I try to stay, at least personally, I try to stay as in touch with our fans and the people who support us as possible, because sometimes a band is the only person talking about the things that you've been through. I've had that experience before where, like, music was the only thing that I felt emoted the feelings that I had. So if somebody needs to connect with me, please do it. So yeah. So if you look up Sharptooth Band or Sharptooth MD, we're on everything.
Well, I appreciate for, you know, opening up with me and
Oh, yeah.
the fans on Metal Mash Kingdom, and you've heard it from me, you've heard it from her. You need to check them out. Sharptooth, they're going to be here for 4 more days.
Yep. Last Warped Tour ever. So if you want to know what we're about, come watch our sets, and you can come watch our sets on the Cane Hill Tour. We'll be still spitting that same realness.
If you don't get to see them here, check them out online, check out all their music, and be sure to catch them on the social platform to see what they're all about. I'm Tim. Thanks for checking us out.